Now let's get our acceleration here with the UX. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over a 2021 Lexus UX 250h. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Lexus here in Murray for giving me some time with this UX. Check out their inventory in the link below. Let's get straight into the video. Under the hood of the UX, we have a naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder that's paired to a hybrid system and a CVT automatic. Total system output's 181 horsepower, and then fuel economy is 41 around town and then 38 on the highway. Let's go to the front end of the UX 250h. So first and foremost, I absolutely love the design of the hood. If you look at it from like this angle, pretty much looks just like the IS 350, which I think is pretty interesting. And then coming down below, you can see you've got the Lexus check mark there, and then you've got the projector LED lights, and then I love this little side vent here. Doesn't matter if it's real or not, it looks cool, guys. Okay, so we got parking sensors right next to it, and then you guys can see we've got Lexus's massive front grille, and then notice the Lexus logo has a slight blue hue. That's because this is a hybrid. And other than that, here is the front end on the UX 250h. So coming around the side here, we've got two 25mm tires on 18-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. As for the design on the wheels, they did kind of like a dark metallic gray there on the center portion with the silver on the outside, which just makes it look like blades basically pointing in, or almost like fangs actually. Like if you split them up, it almost looks like snake fangs, which I think is just a really cool look in general. And then you can see the plastic molding all around the wheel itself and how it like integrates here with the front end, and just like it all connects all alongside the whole UX. But other than that, here is your full side view on the UX. It's a hybrid, so you can't hear anything, but it's on. So popping into the rear of the UX, first and foremost, you guys can see the floor mats here, and it says Lexus UX on it, so you get custom floor mats. And then you got a little first aid kit here in the back as well. And then opening this little area up, you can see you've got some extra storage space. Again, this is a smaller sized SUV, so just kind of think of the storage space as similar to what you'd get in like a hatchback basically, but that's the back of the UX. Go over the rest of the rear of the UX. So obviously we've got this gigantic light bar back here, which looks really cool, and then you can see you've got the bluish hue there on the Lexus logo again because it's a hybrid. But yeah, overall I think the back end of this car looks absolutely fantastic. And again, to go with the hybrid theme, they don't have any like crazy exhaust tips poking out or anything like that. They just kind of have a clean design for the back end, and then there are parking sensors here in the rear as well. Here's the door panel in the back of the UX. So first off, you can see that you've got this white soft touch leather here, which I think just looks really cool just as like a little accent piece. And then you got the door handle, and then you've got the seats here in the rear, which are pretty cool. So they've got the blue on the top of the seat and then the white on the bottom. Obviously it goes with the overall theme of the car because, well, you've got the white exterior paint and then you have the blue to go with the whole hybrid aspect of the car. But let's actually pop in. So stepping in, I do have to duck a little bit to get in here. If you guys are wondering, I'm 5'11", and then if you guys want to see my legroom, pretty decent as well. No storage pocket here. You only get a storage pocket if you sit behind the passenger. You can see you've got some vents here, you've got some USBs down there at the bottom, and then, yes, this does pull down to be some cup holders. But yeah, overall, I love these seats. They're just so cool looking. Here's a door panel at the front. So again, you've got the white soft touch right there with the little door handle right next to it. All of your window controls here in this little area with the mirror adjustments as well. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, you've got the blue leather with the perforations here. I really like this little design right here on the side of the seat. Definitely unique. The perforations continue to the white portion of the seats, and the leather's really soft to the touch. You get your adjustments here on the side of the seat, and then you guys can see the pedal layout just down below. And then you can see this is a little gas cap release and the release for the rear hatch. And then the steering wheel is manually adjustable, but there is one more look before we pop in. here's the steering wheel in the UX 250. You guys can see first and foremost, you've got the controls for the cruise control here. You've got your lane departure assistance and then your collision assistance as well. And then just look how nice the soft touch is that covers the whole steering wheel. And then you have the white contrasted stitching. And then you can see over here on this side, you got the little pages button right there. You've got your volume controls, voice command controls, all that kind of stuff. The stock for the turn signal and lights on that side, and then the stock for the windshield wipers on the other side. But other than that, it's the steering wheel for the UX. Now here is the center gauge cluster. You guys can see that you've got some analog gauges for like the fuel gauge and the temperature gauge, but the rest of it's a really cool screen here in the center. You can scroll through a couple different menus there on the side just to give you different bits of information on the car itself. Nothing too crazy with that little system. The stability control, you just have a little dial that you basically just push in for the stability control. Nothing too crazy, but the cool thing is the drive mode. So you have the eco mode, which you just push it, or sorry, pull it down and it'll go into the eco mode. And then you've got the sport mode, which completely changes it. And then you have the normal mode, which is pressing for that. Again, nothing too crazy with that. I love though the sport mode, how it just like makes it look super aggressive. And the animation like change with it, I think is pretty cool. So we've got the center infotainment system here. Sorry about the glare, but anyways, if we pop it in reverse, you can see you've got a backup camera with trajectory lines, and then you've got the different viewpoints out the backup camera. Nothing too crazy with that. As for the rest of the infotainment system, so it's controlled via keypad. It's not a touchscreen. The keypad though is really easy to use. Response time on it's really good, and I mean it's relatively accurate. It does take a second to get used to with the keypad, but like I said, I mean usability on it is pretty good, and you guys can see response time when you actually press stuff is really easy. And then they give you shortcut buttons if you accidentally click on the wrong thing. So overall, I think it's a pretty good system. So right here, we've got some vents. I love the look of the vents, just the little turn dials. I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. Hazard lights there in the center. Climate controls are pretty cool. You can see that right here, you've got the little switches to turn everything on or off. I just think the actuation on it's cool. You guys saw the stop start button earlier. Little CD player. Now this is the cool part. So you have the heated and cooled seats. You have an automatic mode for the heated and cooled seats. So if you have an auto, it'll just automatically do everything for you depending on the temperature, which I don't know. I think that's a cool little feature that this car has. Now down below all of that, you can see that we've got our wireless phone charger, and then we do have a couple of cup holders, and then we've got the keypad here in this little area. This is what controls the infotainment system. Again, you've got the shortcut buttons. You've got the shifter for the CVT automatic, and again, it has a manual shift function because it does mimic a regular automatic with gears. I love the leather that comes off of it. And then you can see you've got more controls here for the infotainment system, which again, this just like the function on this is pretty cool. And then this is actually where you rest your wrist. You got your EV mode, and then you have your auto hold as well. And then this also doubles as a center console. So like not only is it practical because it's the little wrist thing, but you obviously open it up and it's a center console. Got some USBs inside of it. Again, soft touch white leather there on the top portion. And then you guys can see everything here at the dash. The glove box, you just push the little button right there. Not the keyhole, the button. And you've got a pretty good sized glove box. Now up top here, we do get a traditional sunroof. Nothing too crazy happening with that. Controls are right there. And then you guys can see that you've got your little lights over here on this little portion that you basically just swipe like that to turn on or off, which I think is a cool little function. And then you do have a lighter colored headliner, which obviously matches with the white and blue theme of this car. Now you guys can see the rest of the interior. I love the blue here on the dash. Just the material use is really nice in this car, and then also just how they put it all together I think is really nice as well. But let's get into the pricing. So in terms of pricing, this UX 250h stickers for about $39,000 before any type of market adjustment. That all being said, let's take this bad boy Lexus out and see how it drives. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off here on the UX 250h. You guys can see visibility over the hood's really good. Again, it's a smaller sized SUV, so it's easy to see out of everything. There's visibility through both the mirrors. They do come with blind spot monitoring. Then here's all throughout the rest of the rear, which again, for being like a really small SUV, I feel like the visibility is really solid. And that all being said, well, let's set off. So we are setting off here in the UX 250h, and first and foremost, let's talk about the road noise and the ride quality. So from a ride quality perspective, for being a smaller sized SUV, I would actually rate it slightly above average. It's definitely a little bit smoother than the other, again, smaller sized SUVs in this segment. And then from a road noise perspective, I put that at about average, so a little bit above average for the ride quality, and then, you know, at average in terms of the noise that comes through into the cabin. Brakes are really solid with this actually, so I'm actually pretty impressed with that whole setup. And they're really seamless too. Like hybrids sometimes have really weird brakes, but this does not whatsoever. Like the brakes just feel really nice. They just don't feel weird whatsoever. Taking a turn here, turning radius is really good. I mean, I expected that. It's such a small sized SUV that I didn't expect it to turn weird or anything like that. But one thing I do want to mention is I love the feeling of the steering wheel. So obviously really smooth to the touch, but it's like the perfect size, and it just like has like a little bit of girth to it. And so it just feels good in general. Like I feel like this is like the best size of steering wheel you can have in an SUV. Now let's get our acceleration here with the UX. Decent amount of torque, actually gets up and goes at a pretty good rate. It's a nice quick little SUV. I'll pop it over into the manual mode to see how that does with the response time for the CVT. Definitely better in automatic mode than the manual mode with the response to the CVT. I think that's how the computers are programmed, because when I'm in the automatic mode, yeah, it just takes it right where I need it to be, and it shifts at the right point as well. So automatic mode's definitely better than the manual shift function, but this is decently quick. I mean, you guys heard the power figures, so it's not like it has a massive amount of power, but it's also a really small SUV, and so it doesn't need a massive amount of power. And so getting up and going around town, I mean, it's more than adequate. It gets up and it scoots is the best way for me to put it. But that'll actually get me to summing things up here with this UX 250h. So first and foremost, from an exterior styling perspective, I think this is like the best looking compact, whatever, it's like compact or subcompact, whatever category it is. Like smaller sized SUVs, a lot of them look really weird, which I think is kind of cool. But this one, it looks kind of weird, but it's also really beautiful. Like I think this is the best looking smaller sized SUV out there. It's just, I don't know, like they just absolutely nailed it from a design standpoint. And then from an interior standpoint, I love this interior, especially the price point this is at, less than $40,000. The material use is really good, and obviously Lexus has really good durability with their materials as well, so it's solid from a durability standpoint. And so just as like an overall package, it's just a really good value, interior and exterior wise. And then from the performance, I mean, like I said, I feel like it's adequate. Obviously you can get cars in this price range that have a little bit more power, but not much more. And so the fact that you're getting a luxury brand with really good reliability, you get the cool luxury car looks and interior, all that kind of stuff, for the price that this is at, I feel like this is such a solid value. That is going to sum things up for a video on this 2021 Lexus UX 250h. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Lexus here in Murray for giving me some time with this UX. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.